There are those that are obsessed with going flat out inshore. Others are focused on being first across the pond. And then there are those who are taking performance into new territory altogether. This week we're looking at speed. We start with the announcement of a new foiling project. It seems that speed on land isn't enough for Ferrari, who now want to show just how fast you can really go offshore. And given the early design renderings, it looks like they got quite a weapon in mind. Designed by Guillaume Verdier, who clearly knows a thing or two about offshore speed, the new Ferrari is a 32-metre long monohull foiling machine. It's called Ferrari Hypersail. Really? Why? The answer is that the name reflects something that the Italian company are very proud of. In the motorsports world, Ferrari have often been the first to implement F1 technology in road cars. The F40 was the first road car to extensively use carbon fibre and Kevlar. The Enzo introduced carbon ceramic brakes. And LaFerrari was the first hybrid Ferrari with an F1-style energy recovery system, or KERS as it's better known. In short, they like to push at the boundaries and apply what they've learned. Which seems to be what they're up to with this 100-footer. This is the first foiling monohull to fly on 3 foils. This is a machine that will be entirely self-sufficient and be powered by renewable energy sources. And this is a design that they say will draw technology and innovation from their motorsport divisions. So how does it work? In simple terms, the foil on the canting keel provides the vertical and lateral lift. The foil on the cant arm provides the righting moment and hence the power. Together, these 2 foils provide the lateral stability. The third foil on the rudder controls the fore and aft trim in the same way as an aircraft's elevator controls the pitch. Giovanni Soldini is the team principal. He also knows a lot about high-speed offshore on foils. In his long list of accomplishments, some of his most recent have been in the modified Mod 70 Maserati, where he set a new record from Hong Kong to London in 2018. He's an outstanding sailor and would seem to be a good choice for the job. There have been rumours about this project for some time, and while it's radical, you can easily see the influence of the America's Cup. But you can also see links with the Mark Mills designed 60-footer Flying Nika. So it's impressive to see how these projects, which are in themselves at the leading edge, delivering some of the inspiration to take the foiling monohull concept even further offshore. This is an extraordinary project, not simply for the foiling aspect, but in seeking to be self-powered, it could take the sport, let alone this boat, into completely new territory. Due for launch in 2026, the team hasn't set out what its specific goals are, but it would seem natural to be focusing on breaking a few ocean records before taking on the world. Meanwhile, the quest to set a new outright speed record has reached a new high point for the SP80 project. At 58 knots, they're now claiming to be the second fastest sailboat behind Vestas Sail Rocket 2's record of 68.33 knots. However, there is a slight catch. Both of these speeds are peak speeds. Sail Rocket's record over the 500-metre course is 65.45 knots. SP80's average over the same distance is 48.6 knots. Nevertheless, this is still a very impressive performance and makes it clear that this is a campaign to watch. As you may remember from previous features we've run, the SP80 project has created a boat that looks like a giant pond skater powered by a large kite. As the name suggests, they've set their ultimate goal in achieving 80 knots. It's also a surface skimming project rather than a foil-borne one, and uses superventilating foils. But, like many speed campaigns, breaking a speed record can be a very slow process. Nevertheless, the team's success in breaking through 100 km an hour and exceeding 50 knots on a regular basis is a big achievement. Because breaking through these round numbers is more than just a PR campaign victory. As plenty of speed sailors before them have found out, weird things happen to foils in the water at 50 knots. Macquarie Innovation was the first to break through the glass ceiling in 2009, and when they did it, it was still only just 50.07 knots over the 500 metre record course distance. I interviewed skipper and project manager Simon McKeon for Yachting World a few years before they did this about just how hard it was to make the next step. His comments back then made it clear how hard it still is to enter this territory. And this has resonance with the SP80 team. Getting past the 50-knot barrier is something to celebrate, but every knot from 58 to the record will feel like an exponential climb up the curve. But for the summer, the SP80 project is on hold. Light winds mean there are fewer days available to take the next step. Instead, it gives them time to prepare the machine and source funding for the next stage, which is to move the project to Namibia, where the current record was set by Paul Larsen and his team in Sail Rocket 2. This is a campaign to keep an eye on. Back in the offshore world, the New York Yacht Club and the Royal Ocean Racing Club's Transatlantic race from Newport to Cowes saw the Line Honours winner set a new IRC corrected time record, completing the 3,000 mile course in 7 days, 15 hours and 29 minutes. Here's their description of a race that started in Newport, launched them into the notorious fog and then the weird Gulf Stream conditions.
We couldn't be happier. It was a beautiful race actually, lots of different sceneries and
did see whales, dolphins, sunfish. Interesting enough, when I do deliveries, the dolphins stay with you at 8 to 10 knots. Dolphins didn't want to hang around at 25 knots. As we blasted on by, they didn't catch up. So,
I mean, the whole experience is unique. It's hard to put in words, but I mean, you leave Newport in the fog, right? And you barely see anything.
It's absolute pea soup. It's unnerving for me. I don't like it, but that's the way it is. But you have to do everything you can. So AIS, just checking everything, and nothing wrong with listening and all that sort of stuff.
The nights were very dark. You are driving in the pitch black with 2 boat lengths of visibility. We passed a tanker with no AIS. He just appeared with his nav lights about 4 boat lengths to windward of us one evening. So you kind of have to just put it out of your mind and concentrate on the numbers.
And as we were moving towards the ice gate, the water got really cold. And then all of a sudden we hit the Gulf Stream. The strangest weather patterns, the strangest wave patterns. By the way, that was maybe the roughest part of the ride. It was 25 Celsius water temperature. It was almost bubbling. You felt like the Gulf Stream was higher than the rest of the sea, which is sort of weird, right? But very bizarre. And then we made around the ice gate and we caught just in the right time. We got north enough, get in front of a cold front, and we stayed there, literally almost across to Ireland.
This race and these angles that we were sailing with big sails, if you ended up too high in a nosedive, you'd wipe out. And if you ended up too low in a nosedive, you'd broach. So really you're just numbers for the 2 hours that you drove at a time.
The experience on board helps, just keeps everything on a level playing field and everyone's just pretty calm.
It was a phenomenal race and we were really quick, much quicker than I thought. And we even ended up beating the old record on corrected time by 30 hours, which is phenomenal. That whole experience is hard to put into words, but I would encourage obviously everybody to do it. It's for me an amazing experience and I'm so happy we did it.
We've all been there, pounding up a one-sided beat while moaning about the biased position of the windward mark. But today, Gipsy Buoy nips that conversation in the bud. Described as a robotic floating drone, the Gipsy Buoy, which was used at the last Olympics, has 2 thrusters, a GPS and wind sensors, allowing the inflatable mark to hold its position without being anchored. This means that the marks are not only very easy to set, but they can hold station in very deep water. a feature that's pretty handy given the growing number of venues that prohibit anchoring. But the most significant advantage is that the marks can be moved remotely by the race committee in response to wind shifts. Another advantage is that they're small enough and light enough to be put in a rib, which makes initial positioning more efficient. So you might want to prepare yourself for a different conversation on the upwind legs. If you get in your car and drive off without the seatbelt on, you get an alarm. It never used to be the case, but it's standard today. And according to Rondal, the superyacht world is heading the same way. When boats get big, they get complicated. The loads increase dramatically with size and the feel reduces, which makes it hard to make changes to trim, especially when each adjustment affects several other areas. This makes monitoring and feedback essential. So, creating a holistic system where all the key factors are linked and the data all readily available and easily interpreted was seen as essential. Rondal's work in this area has focused on creating a sailing system which not only monitors the position and loads in key areas, but provides feedback, guidance and sets limits for the full operation of the yacht. So, while you can't feel loads in the traditional sense aboard a superyacht, it's now possible to deliver feedback to ensure that whatever the size, you're always hands-on.